The executive session of the Wayne Board of Education Public Works Session meeting of January 9th, 2020 was convened in the conference room of the Wayne Board of Education, 50 Nellis Drive, Wayne, New Jersey. The statement of compliance setting forth time, date, and location was read in accordance with the requirements of the Open Public Meetings Act, and the roll call was taken. The meeting was recessed and is now being reconvened. Do we need to move to open? No. Okay. Let's rise for the flag salute. Pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Start with you, Dr. Toback.
Okay, so we have no recognition program. So good evening. At the conclusion of the holiday season, things really heat up in the central office and also in classrooms. There's a lot that's going on in all of our classrooms. It's really the heart of the school year. We have many important activities in each department. In addition to all the work and information gathering that takes place with the development of the budget, we're evaluating our staffing for this year and next year, considering academic programs, planning curriculum development work, evaluating our upcoming facility needs, and a host of other activities, including making sure we meet our district goals. So we're in a great position to enjoy an excellent second half of the school year. One of our district goals involves establishing our new early childhood center to be housed at Preakness School. The Early Childhood Center is the first step necessary to bring full-day kindergarten to Wayne. The program is creating lots of excitement. So is the renovation work at the Preakness School. Last time the Preakness School housed significant numbers of students was during the mid-'70s, so as you can imagine, lots of work is necessary to bring the space up to 2020 classroom standards. This week, the first construction meeting was held with the general contractor, Murray Paving, which covered scheduling, procedures, and safety and security measures. Visible progress was made in many areas of the project, including preliminary masonry work to create classroom walls where needed, as well as rooftop equipment demolition. Preliminary bathroom layout and sewer line work continues as the overall project remains on schedule. Interior material finishes are also in the process of review and selection. Over the years, the district moved ahead with our first Energy Savings Improvement Plan, also ESIP, and we're experiencing great success. We'll have a presentation for you about the next phase of our energy savings program. We're also moving ahead with phase 3 of our science lab renovations at each of our high schools. We're looking to renovate at least 2 labs. At this point, we have completed renovations on 6 high school science labs, all with air conditioning, all with state-of-the-art technology. We look forward to having 2 more labs complete for the start of next school year. On the topic of safety and security, we're happy to report that we have a number of safety and security projects that are complete or are nearing completion. Some of the projects involve technology, while others involve facility work like security vestibules and barricades. Our new middle school Class 3 officers have been a great addition to each school community, and you'll see that we're recommending that we hire 2 more Class 3 officers, and they'll be scheduled to rotate among our elementary schools. Happy to report that on January 23rd, we'll have a presentation of our audit for the Board of Education. And just quickly to wrap up my report for HIB, during this reporting period, there were 4 incidents reported as HIB. After thorough investigation, only 2 of those reported incidents were found to be actual cases of HIB.
Okay, Mr. Moffett. Revisions to the agenda.
A couple of revisions as it relates to the emergent section. Under emergent administrative, we are going to amend the existing number 1, which is the HIB approval. And we're going to amend that to reflect as number 2. And number 1, we're going to insert resolve. I'll read it, the recommendation. Resolve that the Board of Education approve the public works session items to be considered and placed on the January 23rd, 2020 regular agenda. The next change or addition is item 7 in T, Emergent Human Resources. We'll revise item 7 to number 2, Caitlin Kaiser, revised effective date to March 16, 2020, or as soon as possible instead of the January 10th, 2020 date that's reflected on the agenda. The next item is going to be an add item. We're adding is item 11. Approval of separation agreement, which we discussed in exec. It reads, resolved that the Board of Education, upon the recommendation of the superintendent, hereby approves the employment separation agreement and release between the Wayne Township Board of Education, the International Brotherhood of Teamsters, Local 11, and employee ID number 9125, as attached by reference, and further authorizes the board president and secretary to execute same on behalf of the board. The business administrator and superintendent are authorized to take all further steps required by the terms of the settlement to further implement same. That concludes the changes or alterations to the agenda.
Thank you. Public portion. This portion of the meeting is open to citizens for comment on agenda items only. Residents are to state their names, addresses, and subject matter. Comments may be limited to 5 minutes per person. Members of the public are discouraged from speaking negatively about an employee or a student. The board bears no responsibility for comments made by the public. Comments regarding employees or students cannot be legally responded to by the board. Other comments may be responded to tonight or at subsequent meetings under old business. Can I get a mover?
I'll move.
Mike?
Second.
Don, thank you. Come on down. No, Mr. Mesa?
Seeing no one, Madam President, I move to close.
Second. Mr. Bubba, Mrs. Butta. Okay, so we go straight through the PWS agenda to R1 and 2. Can I get a mover?
Madam President, I move all PWS items.
I'll second.
Mr. Pavlik?
Motion's consent to all.
Duffy?
Mr. Duffy, second.
Roll call?
Mrs. Albanese?
Yes.
Mr. Bubba?
Yes.
Mr. Duffy?
Yes.
Mr. Giordano?
Yes.
Mrs. Kumar?
Yes.
Mr. Pavlak?
Yes.
Mrs. Putoff?
Yes.
Mrs. Shear?
Yes.
And Mrs. Kazan.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Sorry, I hope there was no discussion. My bad. So we'll move on to the emergent administrative items.
Madam President, I move that we.
Well, wait a minute, if I could just clarify, I think the consent was for all PWS?
No, PWS only.
PWS.
Separately.
So basically,
So
we
just
moved
R1.
R1. I'm sorry, not R1 and 2. So now we'll move on to R2.
Madam President, I make the motion that we move the emergent items on consent, please.
I'll second.
Mr. Bubba, Mrs. Albanese, discussion? Discussion on emergent items? Anyone? Alrighty, roll call, Mr. Moffett.
Mr. Bubba?
Yes.
Mr. Duffy?
Yes.
Mr. Giordano?
Yes.
Mrs. Kumar?
Yes.
Mr. Pavlak?
Yes.
Mrs. Putoff?
Yes.
Mrs. Shear?
Yes.
Mrs. Albanese?
Yes.
And Mrs. Kazan.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Okay, so now we have new business. Is there any new business? I'm sorry?
Second public.
Oh, I'm sorry. Well, there's no one here, but we have to do it anyway. Public portion of the meeting is open to citizens for comment on any topic. Residents are to state their names, addresses, and subject matter. Comments may be limited to 5 minutes per person. Members of the public are discouraged from speaking negatively about an employee or a student. The board bears no responsibility for comments made by the public. Comments regarding employees or students cannot be legally responded to by the board. Other comments may be responded to tonight or at subsequent meetings. Anyone from the public wishing to speak?
I move to open.
Open?
We have to open it first.
Oh, I'm sorry. Mr. Bubba, Mrs. Albanese, okay.
Move to close.
Mr. Pavlak, Mrs. Putoff, thank you very much. Okay, new business. Eileen. I'm sorry, Mrs. Albanese.
No, that's
We're in
okay.
public.
I hope that because we're at PWS, we could take a couple of minutes just to talk about, and actually an educational item. I know it's been in the news a lot over the past several months about college admissions and, things that are being pressured, for parents, for students to feel that they need to do to get into college. I'm also aware that there's been a growing trend over the last several years for parents to hire college coaches, counselors, people who help their students. I'm not really talking about test prep, I'm talking about preparation of your essay or your application. And I'm thinking that it's becoming almost the norm. And I'm wondering if, as an expense to parents, maybe there's something we, maybe through our newly appointed education committee, could start looking at if there's something more as a district we can do. I know that there are things done at the high school level, preparation type things, but I'm wondering if it's a necessity that every student, whether they're high achieving, whether students that need extra help, whether they're a middle of the road student, but that every parent feels the pressure in today's world to spend the type of money that they're spending to hire people to help their student achieve college admission. which to me is the responsibility of us as a public school district. I'm not saying parents shouldn't be able to do that, but I'm hoping maybe we could start taking a little bit of a look at what more we could do, what help we could give, and maybe where we could alleviate some of that burden for parents. Because it just does seem to be a trend that's not diminishing but growing. So I know we do some things already, we do some test prep thing, so I'm not really talking about that, but I'm talking about the need for that one-on-one, how my child is gonna do their application, where are they gonna apply, what are the best schools to apply to, help writing their essays, that maybe we could start taking a look at what we could do, whether it's scheduling wise, and I know January we start looking at things, and I'm not talking for September, but maybe we could start taking a long-range look at what we can do in the high schools, maybe starting in the 9th grade. Maybe to have students feel more comfortable to do this themselves, but also maybe to have parents feel that there's enough guidance being given in school, whether it's coursework or, guidance department meetings, or we bring in some experts, but maybe we could start looking at alleviating some of that pressure and that financial burden. So I'm just putting it out there as a topic, maybe something that education committee could put on their agenda, but something we could start taking a long-range look at, adding to our to our high school curriculum for students. So.
I agree, Mrs. Albanese. I've actually had this conversation sitting next to somebody getting a pedicure about how much it costs her to navigate this process. But definitely, perhaps we could, whoever is chairing, I don't know, I even picked them and I don't remember, the education committee could seek more information from other districts to find out if anyone else is doing anything to help the parents or the students. It could even possibly be an after-school club that a guidance counselor or teacher would officiate, and those who were interested in availing themselves of the program could, and those who don't need it and their parents love to spend their money don't necessarily have to be involved, and it would be a maybe minimal cost to us as a district. But again, so I'm sorry, Mrs. Putta, you can take that up in education. Thank you. Is there any other new business from the board? I have new business regarding a retreat. We've had some discussion, Dr. Toback and I. We've already come up with a couple of retreat topics. We're going to ask in an email for some ideas from you for a third topic, and the more votes for a particular topic obviously will win. You could discuss amongst yourselves at some point what you think. Do you have a list of topics that we have so far?
Yeah, we just talked about really a discussion about facility upgrades and the need for, we still have the bleacher project that is unfinished, right? That's something we talked about.
Right.
We know there's a significant expense. We know it has to be done. We have some other ideas that might go along with that. So that was one of the things we talked about. We talked about providing the board with an update on progress towards our goals and some of the things that we're doing, so we thought that might be a nice thing. We have 4 district goals in play. And what was it?
I made the presentation, we're going to do early childhood presentation.
Update on the ECC.
So,
That would be the big
all the
part.
plans,
Yeah.
right.
The budget process, you have that?
And then the other thing is, we wanted to have a discussion if the board was seeking, I thought we had a fairly successful budget season last year. I thought the process seemed to be well received by the board. But if the board would like to discuss how the budget will play out, at that point, Mr. Moffett will probably have the timeline from the Department of Ed regarding what has to be done and when it has to be done by, and when we get state aid and some of those other things. So all said and done, it would probably be a worthwhile discussion having. If there is a change, the board would like to see if there's another format the board would like to follow.
So we also discussed location, and without naming names, I've had some feedback from some board members that they prefer not to spend $50 going to a restaurant if we could just use one of our buildings and have Sodexo cater it. Not necessarily in this conference room, but Dr. Tobuck and I discussed possibly going to the Anthony Wayne Media Center and, having a nice relaxed setup over there, and have Sodexo take care of it, no charge to the board members, and if everyone is okay with that. And would you all be okay with the Thursday night that we don't meet typically, that's not on our board calendar, as the 2 or 3 options we throw out there? Is that okay with everyone? So we know where to even begin trying to find a date. sometime in February. Is anybody going to Florida for the month of February?
Just the first week.
Just the first week? Okay, well, there you go. Well, I know February's Florida month, so, so Florida,
Not Florida.
well, wherever, it's warmer than here. Retreat, so Thursday, not first week.
We're supposed to go Valentine's Day.
Okay, is there anything else, board comments or old business? Well, I have one last comment. I made a mistake at the last meeting, and I would like to thank our outgoing president, Mr. Bubba, for his service to the board and doing a wonderful job and spending the year in the hot seat, and thank you very much. And Stacy Scher as
Really?
vice president.
Really?
I'm so
I'm not even
sorry.
gonna accept that, thank you,
I
Dr.
forgot.
I refuse
Now
to
you
accept
tell
that. Thank you, Dr. Kovac.
I'm sorry, Stacy. Okay.
It's all right, Mike
Anything
was
else?
never absent.
Can I get a mover to adjourn?
Once.
We're done meeting.
Okay.
Second.
Don,
Move on my part.
second?
Is anyone seconding?